Wow, is this our house? Jaden's voice burst from the back seat, filled with pure excitement. The 7-year-old pressed his face against the window, wide-eyed, staring at the two-story home that stood before them. His sister, Amira, stirred from her nap, blinking at the sight as a soft smile crept across her face. Nicole Bennett's heart swelled as she watched her children's reactions in the rearview mirror. Yes, she thought, this is it. After years of scrimping, saving, and long shifts as a nurse, she had finally done it, given her kids a fresh start, far from the cramped apartment and endless city noise. This quiet suburban street, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun, was their new beginning. Nicole smiled as she turned to face her son. "Yep, buddy, this is home," she said, though a nervous flutter twisted in her stomach. She wanted to believe that this house would bring them the peace they so desperately needed. But as soon as she stepped out of the SUV, something felt off. Across the street, a man stood by his mailbox, arms crossed, his pale blue eyes fixed on them. He didn't smile, didn't wave, just stared, his posture rigid, as if her presence had disturbed some unspoken order. Amira tugged at Nicole's sleeve. "Mom? Why is that man looking at us like that?" she whispered, her earlier excitement fading. Nicole forced a smile, her voice steady, though her skin prickled with unease. "Some people just don't have good manners, sweetie. Don't worry about it." But deep down, she knew this look all too well. The man, Todd Whitfield, as she would soon learn, wasn't just curious about his new neighbors. He was sending a message. You don't belong here. By starting with Jaden's excitement, the story immediately engages the reader with a moment of joy, which then contrasts sharply with the unsettling tension that follows. The transition feels natural, and the sequence builds toward the confrontation with Todd, maintaining a smooth narrative flow. Nicole tried to shake off the man's glare and focused on settling in. The first few days passed in a blur of unpacking boxes, figuring out where everything went, and adjusting to the slower pace of suburban life. Amira and Jaden seemed to enjoy the novelty of their new environment at first, riding bikes in the driveway and exploring their new rooms. But things started to feel off. On their third night, Nicole heard a strange noise outside, like the clattering of metal. She pulled back the curtain and saw her trash cans knocked over, garbage strewn across the lawn. "Probably raccoons," Nicole muttered, though her instincts told her otherwise. The next morning it got worse. As Nicole stepped outside to grab the mail, her heart sank. Someone had spray-painted the word "leave" across their mailbox in thick red letters. "Mom?" Amira's voice was soft, filled with worry as she appeared at the doorway. "What does it mean?" Nicole swallowed hard, forcing her fear down. "It just means someone's being silly, baby. Nothing we need to worry about." She cleaned off the paint, filed a report with the Homeowners Association, and hoped it wouldn't happen again. But something told her that it was only the beginning. Amira and Jaden's first week at school went smoothly, until it didn't. On Friday afternoon, Amira came home with red-rimmed eyes, her face stiff with suppressed tears. Nicole was folding laundry when she noticed her daughter's distress. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" Nicole asked, sitting beside her on the couch. Amira hesitated, then whispered, "A boy at recess called me the N-word." Nicole's stomach dropped. She had hoped, naively perhaps, that moving to the suburbs would shield her children from that kind of hatred. "What else did he say?" Nicole asked gently, though she already knew the answer. "He said we don't belong here," Amira sniffled, "that we're probably just renting, that people like us don't live in houses like these." Nicole pulled her daughter close, her heart breaking. "Listen to me, baby, you do belong here. Don't you ever let anyone make you feel like you don't." Amira nodded, but the doubt lingered in her eyes. And Nicole knew, deep down, that the kids at school were only echoing what they had heard from their parents. Across the street, Todd Whitfield watched them from his porch, a smug grin tugging at the corners of his mouth. The graffiti on the mailbox was just the start. Over the next few weeks, the harassment escalated. One morning, Nicole walked out to find two of her car tires slashed, deep gashes running along the rubber. Her heart pounded with rage. "This man is trying to push me out of my own home." She called the police, but their response was lukewarm at best. Could be just some kids messing around, the officer said casually, as if slashing tires was some harmless prank. That night, Nicole installed a security camera on her porch, hoping to catch whoever was responsible. But the camera only captured Todd standing outside, smirking at her house like he knew exactly what he was doing. And then, the worst incident happened while Nicole was working a double shift at the hospital. She got the call around 8 p.m. from Mrs. Lee, a friendly neighbor. "Nicole, you need to get home. There are police at your house and your kids are on the porch." Nicole's heart seized in her chest. She raced home, her mind spiraling with worst-case scenarios. When she arrived, two police officers were standing in front of her porch, questioning Amira and Jaden while Todd stood smugly on the sidewalk. "They were throwing rocks at my windows," Todd barked. "I want them arrested." "That's not true," Amira shouted, tears streaming down her cheeks. "We didn't do anything." Nicole rushed forward, shielding her children. "Officer, this man has been harassing us since we moved in. My kids didn't touch his house." The officers exchanged uncomfortable glances. "We're just following up on a complaint, ma'am. Keep your kids on your property, and this won't happen again." Nicole watched helplessly as the officers left, leaving Todd with a triumphant grin on his face. Just when Nicole felt like she was drowning, there was a knock at her door late one evening. It was Mr. Jameson, the elderly man from next door. "I've seen what that man's been doing to you," he said softly. "And I've had enough." Nicole blinked in surprise. "Why are you telling me this now?" Mr. Jameson shifted awkwardly. "Because it's the right thing to do." He handed her a small flash drive. "My security cameras caught everything. Todd vandalizing your mailbox, slashing your tires and lying to the police. It's all on here." Nicole felt tears well in her eyes. For the first time in weeks, she felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel. Hope. Armed with Mr. Jameson's footage, Nicole went straight to the police station. The officers watched the recordings in stunned silence. There was no room for excuses. Todd's crimes were laid bare. Within days, Todd Whitfield was arrested on charges of vandalism, harassment, and filing false police reports. Nicole stood on her porch with Amira and Jaden as the officers dragged Todd out of his house in handcuffs. "This isn't over," Todd snarled as he was shoved into the back of the police car. Nicole folded her arms, a smile spreading across her face. "Oh, it's over," she whispered. With Todd gone, the atmosphere in the neighborhood changed. The cold stares disappeared, replaced by tentative smiles and waves. Amira and Jaden made new friends at school, and for the first time in a long time, Nicole felt like they were truly home. One afternoon, Mr. Jameson stopped by with a small plant. "Welcome to the neighborhood," he said with a shy smile. Nicole smiled back, feeling lighter than she had in months. "Thank you," she said warmly. And in that moment, Nicole knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she and her children would be okay. They had fought for their place and won.